Hello, and welcome back to Diecast Graveyard. My name is Paul. We got a pretty cool build today. Today we're going to do a Hot Wheels double header. Now this car featured two turbine engines. It was released in 1973, and all of the paint that was done on these cars was done in an opaque enamel. Well, the reason that this title is called a Restomod is because we're going to go ahead and repaint this car, but we're going to paint it in a Spectre flame. Now there's a bunch of other things that I want to describe over this car when we get into the teardown, but we'll address that when we get to it. But this is going to be an incredibly cool build. It is a really neat car, and we're going to have a lot of fun with this. So while you got a chance, go ahead and grab your favorite adult beverage, sit back and relax, and let's rebuild a double header. Here I've got the post already drilled out. We're going to go ahead and evaluate the parts here. Now, this era here, the body is a little bit fragile, so you got to be careful. As you can tell, there's one pin there in the middle that's broken off, but that's the way the car came. Overall, there's a lot of paint missing, but we can fix that up. The base is in good shape, but there's an awful lot of casting lines in here, and I want to try and take those out because in this particular car, it kind of detracts from the way it looks. So we're going to try and file some of those down. We're going to change out the wheels. We're going to give it real red lines and not the ones with the axle that pokes out of the middle. Interior looks good. We just got to clean that up. And the windshield is really scratched up, and there is a crack, a small crack in the front of the windshield. But we're going to go ahead and reuse this. Now, there are replacement windshields for this, but I opted to go with the original one. Let's move on. Now it's time to get the body in the embalming fluid. I've already drilled out the post, like I said. Now the post on this car was extremely narrow, and one of the posts in the back was bent. So I had to work with that, and it was a booger. But we did get it taken care of. We put the short screws in there, the 1/8 inch long screws. Now if you do the 1.72 screws or you do the 2.56 screws, the two different lengths that we normally use are 1/8 inch and 3/16 inch. 3/16 being the longer.
Someone is being exhumed.
After letting that car sit in the embalming fluid, we went ahead and started working on the base. Now we're going to take the grinding wheel from the Dremel, and we're going to grind away the retaining flange that holds these wheels in place. So I'm using this Dremel to grind that down and expose that axle. Now I still wanted a little bit on there. I didn't want to grind it all away because I wanted something to attach the axles to. So we're going to have to use a pair of pliers to pull those things out. Now if you're doing this and you happen to start to see sparks, it's because there's two different metals there. The steel in the axle and then the casting for the base. If you start to see sparks, it means you're hitting the axle, so you're really close to being able to remove the axle. Now this here, I don't intend on reusing these wheels or axles, so I went ahead and took a pair of needle nose pliers and just ripped those axles out of there when I got ground down deep enough. They were still in there quite well. Now we may have to clean up that edge a little bit in there, but that's looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and grind the front wheels out. No, we're still working on the back wheels. That looks pretty good though. But let's grind those front wheels out. I've got these sanding discs that I use on my Dremel. Now you can use a grinding wheel. You can use one of those bits that grind away, whatever your preference is. Just make sure you're wearing your safety glasses though when you do this. Sorry for the camera angle. Sometimes when you're working you get off track there and you tend to mess it up. That should be just about enough. All right, let's get the pliers and rip those bad boys out of there too. Again, I apologize for that camera angle. That's looking pretty good. We'll clean that up just a little bit, and then we'll move on. Looking good. Here's the base. I think we're going to polish that up, so we're going to use the flits. Now, I've been using flits a lot lately, and like I said, I really like the way it works, and you only have to use a little bit. I tend to overuse it, but that's just me. But you can get away with just using a little bit there. Rub it over the entire surface you plan on buffing. Get in there with your buffing wheel and start going to town. I went ahead and sped this up because I know this part is a little bit boring, but you'll at least get to see the results at the end. This is sped up 6 times. Go ahead and enjoy your adult beverage while you look at this, and as soon as this portion is done, we'll continue on. That's looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and continue on. That turned out nice. We'll just still have to rub it down with a cloth, but that definitely brought the shine out there. Now let's go ahead and do the body. It actually wasn't in that bad a shape. I went over it with some steel wool and a Scotch-Brite pad. The rough spots I went over just lightly with some fine sandpaper. But this is buffing out really nice. I'm really happy with the way this is going, because we plan on doing some Spectre Flame paint here, and I want it really nice and shiny in order to get that paint to show. Now when you're done doing all the buffing and everything that you're done, get it to the sink and scrub it down with a toothbrush and some Zep degreaser. This will make sure that all that residue and all that polish and all the wax or whatever you've got on there is removed really good. Now I'll use a really nice soft bristle toothbrush and get in there so it doesn't scratch up the surface anymore. This bonnet's about done. We'll have to get rid of that after this car. And again, I apologize for the crappy angle of the video there. This is really starting to look nice. I'm really excited to do this car. I haven't done this one before, and this is definitely going to be a cool addition to my collection. That's looking really sweet.
I love how the moonlight shines over the mausoleum.
Now let's work on the wheels. I didn't really care for the wheels that were on there. They were pretty worn out anyways, but we're going to replace these with real red lines. Here I've got my music wire, my .020 K&S wire number 5499. Now these work really good. I got a brand new bearing on there from Bearcat 3D Designs. We're going to use a set of fence pliers, and we're going to flare out the end of that wire to be able to withhold the bearing that I'm putting on there. So here's the fence pliers. Set them in there. Make sure you got a good bite and squeeze real hard. That's looking good. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on that little bell to be alerted to any future videos that come out. Now you can file that down just a little bit so it doesn't stick out, but it's going to be inside the tire anyway, so you're really not going to see it. There I'm filing it down just a little bit. Looking good. All right. Now we got the body here. Here I've gone ahead and did the back axle. Got a little bit of room there so the wheel can move freely. That looks good. And I got the ones in the front done too. I'm going to center that up, super glue it in place, and then put a couple drops of the accelerator to dry up that super glue, and it'll be ready to go like it is right here. Again, I got these bearings from Bearcat 3D Designs. Go on to his website, get a hold of Grizz, and he can fill your 3D printing needs. Please check him out at Bearcat 3D Designs. Here I'm putting on brand new Redline tires that I got from the Redline shop. Man, those are going to look sharp. Put those big old meats on the back. That is looking absolutely sweet. So the base is all done. That's all polished up and ready to go. I went in and I filed down the casting lines on the sides of the engine and in the back. Body's all polished up. Now all we got to do is get that body ready for some paint. First, let's go ahead and knock out this windshield. I went ahead and I filed it down, or sanded it down, with 1200 grit sandpaper. Buffed it down nice and smooth as best as I could. And again, it's got a little fine crack in it, but we're going to use it anyways. Here I got the gauzy. Mix it up really, really slow when you do this, because you'll get a lot of bubbles in there, and you don't want bubbles on your plastic or your windshield when you're done. Looking good there. Get you your tweezers or your forceps, whatever you're using. Dip it in. Let it drip off just a little bit. I got a brand new paper towel in my cover. Touch it to the paper towel to wick away the excess fluid. That's looking good. Make sure you put the lid back on the gauzy, because you will spill it. It's not a matter of if, but when. Trust me on this one. Go ahead and cover that up so you don't get any dust bunnies on there. Let's get ready to paint. Here we've got the body all set up, and again we scrubbed it down with Zepti greaser. We're going to use a lime green or an apple green Spectre Flame paint from the Redline shop. I get all the hard to reach areas first, up in the fender wells, up in the underside of the cockpit of the car, up underneath where the wing is, and put a light mist coat all the way around. This is called your tack coat. Now eventually, as you're doing these cars, like right now I'm doing a double header, and I haven't done one of these cars yet. But eventually, if you do this hobby long enough, and you're doing videos, you're going to do the same casting again at some time or another. And especially the more popular cars like your Mustangs and your Camaros and things like that, you're going to be doing several of those. But there may be some things that you do differently, like different colors, different styles, whatever. But you have to put fresh content out when you do these YouTube stations to keep people interested in coming back to your channel. Now, if there's something you would like to see me do, leave a remark in the comments and let me know. I do take that into consideration when I make videos.
Meanwhile, back in the graveyard.
All right, we got all the parts now. Look at how nice that body turned out. That lime green or apple green. That's absolutely beautiful, man. John at the Redline shop, what a fantastic product he puts out. Here's the base, all polished up with the casting lines filed down as best as we could. That looks good. Brand new wheels from the Redline shop and bearings from Bearcat 3D Designs. The windshield's all nice and shiny again using the gauzy. The interior, we scrubbed it down with soap and water and a toothbrush. Let's put it together, do our reveal. And here's what we started with. This Hot Wheels double header. The body was definitely had a lot of paint chips and flea bites. We took it apart. We got the old paint off there. We polished it up. We did the base. We polished that up. We filed off a lot of those casting lines. We, again, like I said, polished it up. We replaced the wheels. We put brand new axles, brand new bearings, and did everything we needed to make this a classic again. Now, this build was a lot of fun, folks. Now, if you've got something that you'd like me to restore for you, please contact me in the comments because I read every single comment. And if you got some stuff you want me to do for you, contact me. I'll get back a hold of you. What a beautiful car, but it definitely needed to have its beauty brought out. And I think we definitely did that. And here's the result. Look at that beautiful paint job. That lime green Spectre Flame paint turned out fantastic. Brand new wheels from the Redline shop. Brand new bearings from Bearcat 3D Designs. We used the flits to polish up the body and the base. Filed down those casting lines, and this car turned out wonderful. I'm very, very happy with the way this car turned out. And you can still get these fairly cheap on eBay or wherever you're looking. Just take your time. If there's a certain casting you want, be patient. One will come available eventually. I think I got this car for $5. So you can definitely find good deals if you look for them. Now, I've got a Patreon page, and I want to introduce you to my Patreon members. I'd like to introduce you to my Patreon team members. Grim Reaper level, William K7 Robinson, Dale Johnson, and Matt Miller. Mortician level, Air Warrior Coffee, Jake Rademacher, Jason Warren, Ray Berger, Ricky Montalvo, Sam Pascal. Funeral Director level, Diecast Sheriff on YouTube, Double Beast Customs on YouTube, Dave Christensen, Todd Binney, Ryan Goldstein, and new member Evan Rule. Gravedigger, Aaron Murphy, Andrew Hitchens, Bob DeNice, Chris Decker, Grizz Flowers, John Holman, John Sellers on YouTube, Johnny and William Hicks, Keith Kripe, Leroy, Les Jenkins, Michael Oxley, Richie Ramos, Stacy Wright, and Trevor DeViz, Paul Bearer, Daryl Begtell, Gary Tasker, and Milesium 487, First Drivers, Adam Bowen, Diecast Pirate, Jason Saylor, Jim Silva on YouTube, Joe Pierce, Pete Langford Pintoni, Richard Reese, Richard Subtrilo, Somo Diecast on YouTube, Scott Turner, Steve Terrence, Tony Hughes, and my good friend Wade Hendricks. Thank you so much for joining me here today. Please join my Patreon page. The link is in the comments. This video was brought to you by the Redline Shop. The Redline Shop offers a complete line of decals, tools to take your car apart, put them back together, replacement hoods, replacement glass, those beautiful Redline tires, and of course, the world famous Spectre Flame paints. Fantastic products. The Redline Shop at www.redlineshop.com, where Redlines come to life. Thank you so much for joining me here today on Diecast Graveyard. This was an absolutely fun build and I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for being a loyal subscriber, and if you're not a subscriber, please do. It doesn't cost you anything. Enjoyed having you with me here today. My name is Paul for Diecast Graveyard. Cheers.